everybody. Hello. Welcome to Nightmare Necessities, your number one weirdo here, Alex. Now, before we get started, I know that we did not upload last week's episode on Friday, and we do apologize. Things have been a little busy around here, so we both deeply apologize. We will try to get back on schedule. But if not, chances are we may upload every 2 weeks on Tuesdays and Fridays instead of every week. We will just have to see how things go this week with our uploads. But for now, let's get started. So I know I said in the last episode that we were going to go on into a deeper dive of the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. And I know that's what I promised. But we're going to do things a bit differently today because I really do want to save that episode for when my co-host joins us, because I feel like it'll definitely be a lot more entertaining and a lot more fun. So for now, we're going to put that idea on the back burner. But that's okay because we have many more interesting topics that we can talk about. So today we are going to be discussing one of my favorite horror movies. Sorry. One of my favorite horror movies. And this horror movie is sorry guys, my mind is just sort of slipping away from me. So I lost my train of thought there. I do apologize. Yes, the horror movie. So the horror movie that we're going to be talking about today, one of my favorites, made in 1978 by one John Carpenter, the horror classic Halloween. Starring Jamie Lee Curtis, Donald Pleasence, Nick Castle. To those of you who are Halloween fans like myself, you already know a whole bunch about it. Now, being the big Halloween fan that I am, I could talk about this for hours, which I do intend to do. So today we're just gonna talk about the first Halloween. On Friday, we're gonna talk about Halloween 2, and then continue on down the timeline with the Halloween movies. So, Halloween 1978. I have loved this movie ever since I was little. I am a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan, and I will continue to be a huge fan. It's something about 70s horror movies, especially this one in particular. It's great. Also, if you guys hear any background noise, I do apologize. I'm in a bit of a noisy area, so I do apologize. But Halloween, made by John Carpenter. It's a great movie. It's a classic. Everybody knows it. And if you don't, have you been living under a rock? Nah, I'm just kidding, guys. Just kidding. But it's a great movie. It's good with jump scares. The music score is incredible. The cinematography is good. It's great. So in the movie, you're following the story of one Michael Myers and one Laurie Strode. So on the night of Halloween in, I believe it was 1963, if I remember correctly, young Michael Myers murdered his sister Judith while she was babysitting him on Halloween night. Now, Time skip ahead 15 years later in 1978. Sam Loomis, played by Donald Pleasence, R.I.P. He is going to a prison to transfer Michael to another facility. When he and the nurse who was chaperoning him gets there, they notice that all the prisoners and inmates are out wandering in the cold, dark, stormy weather that night. So while Loomis gets out to check to see what's going on, Michael climbs on top of their car and hijacks it and gets the heck up out of there. So that following morning in Haddonfield, Illinois, where this movie takes place, we meet the main character, Laurie Strode, who is a high schooler and also a babysitter. So, we get to know a little bit about her, and she's babysitting this little kid, Tommy Doyle. Some of the stuff that I'm going to mention is a bit minor. I mean, it all plays, into effect. It's all key details, but the major part of the plot with Michael killing people. I'm sure that's all you guys want to hear. So, Laurie's dad is a realtor, and there are people looking to buy the Myers home. So Laurie drops the key off at the Myers place, and who is there watching Michael? Michael, who is now 21, he's watching, he sees her, so then he decides to stalk Laurie all day long. And that includes stalking her friends, on the walk home from school, while she's in school, even stalking the kid who was walking with her, Tommy Doyle, because, just because. And, this continues on for the remainder of the day. So, later on, Sam comes into Haddonfield, Dr. Loomis, rather. He comes into Haddonfield, he talks to the sheriff about trying to track down Michael. The sheriff takes him to the old Myers house where everything went down when he murdered his sister. And, Donald Pleasence, he gives this really great monologue, which I will edit into the video later.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up, because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil.
He gives this great little lengthy monologue about Michael's background history and, well, not background history, but his history while he was watching over him in the institution. So once that happens, Michael follows Laurie and her friend Annie to the neighborhood that they're babysitting in. Also, side note that I forgot to mention, Michael stole his sister's tombstone. Why is this important? Because when Dr. Loomis comes into Haddonfield, the first place he checks out is the gravesite to confirm whether or not Michael is in Haddonfield. And lo and behold, the gravestone is gone, revealing indeed that Michael has returned. Now, back to Michael following Laurie and Annie around. So he follows them around until they get to the house that they're to the houses that they are babysitting at. So they get there, they get all settled in. Annie's with the kid she's babysitting, and Laurie's across the street with Tommy. So Michael does some stalking, and eventually Annie, Laurie's friend, she gets a call from her boyfriend Paul saying that his parents are not home. I'm sure you all can use your minds to know what this leads to. So because of that, Annie decides to take the kid that she's babysitting, Lindsay, across the street to Tommy's house to drop her off so Laurie can watch her. So Laurie agrees to watch both kids. So Annie goes back across the street to her car. She can't get in because she forgot her keys, so she goes back inside the house to get the keys. She comes back out. She doesn't even put the keys into the door, and it opens. She doesn't even think twice about it. And what happens next? She gets killed by Michael, who is in the backseat hiding. So she gets killed. Michael carries her lifeless body back into the house. And guess who sees him from across the street? It's Tommy. So Tommy sees it. He tells Laurie. Laurie doesn't believe him because when she looks out the window, she does not see Michael, despite seeing Michael all day throughout Haddonfield. But, oh well. So, Michael takes Annie back inside the house. So Laurie and the kids get comfortable, they make jack-o'-lanterns, they watch movies, eat popcorn, do the usual things that kids do. So then, later on down the line, Laurie's other friends, Bob and Linda, who are a couple, they go to the house that Annie was babysitting at because they want to do what teenagers do. So they are there, they do what they do. After that, Bob gets up to get a beer. He goes downstairs to the kitchen, gets a beer. He hears some noises from in the kitchen pantry. And out pops Michael, who does the most iconic kill in horror movie history, which I will also edit into the video.
Come on out.
He lifts Bob up against the wall and pins him there with a large butcher knife. Honestly, quite a nice kill, which leaves him hanging there. So the knife holds his weight up against the wall. Quite a very, very impressive kill. Very nice. Michael admires his piece of artwork, I guess you could say. So then he goes upstairs. He has the sheet on over him with Bob's glasses over it so that Linda doesn't recognize him. And then after that, he kills Linda. But at the time when he kills Linda, Linda's on the phone with Laurie, who hears Linda getting killed, but because of the certain sounds that Linda makes, Laurie thinks, they're doing what teenagers do. But no, Linda's getting strangled to death by the phone cord. So, and at this time the kids are asleep. So Laurie leaves the house to go check on Linda and Bob because, who wouldn't be concerned after hearing that, So she goes across the street to check on them. And it's completely dark in the house, like no lights whatsoever. She goes upstairs. She goes to the bedroom with the only light on in the entire house. And on the bed, she sees Annie's lifeless body laying there with Judith Myers, who is Michael's sister, who he killed back in 1963, the headstone laying above Annie. So she gets scared. She backs up. She finds Bob's body in a closet, like hanging from the ceiling somehow. And then she also finds Linda's body as well. So she runs out of the bedroom, and from this really cool shot, materializes Michael Myers from the dark, which is a beautiful shot, must I say. And he slashes at her shoulder, or her arm, causing her to fall over the banister and down the stairs. So she gets up and limps out of the house. She goes back across the street. She gets there. And she tells the kids to hide in the closet. And while they're hiding in the closet, well, actually, no. Yeah, she tells them to hide in the closet. Hide in the closet. She is in the living room downstairs. She tries to call for the police, but the phone line is dead. So she's just sitting there on the floor. Michael comes up from behind the couch to stab at her, but he misses. So she stabs him in the neck with a sewing needle. But because Laurie doesn't know any better, she would assume that he is dead because he fell to the floor. So she runs upstairs to comfort the kids and console them. You know, she's like, oh, he's dead, don't worry about it. But not Michael, Tommy, the smart one of the group, he says you can't kill the boogeyman. And look who's walking up behind them, Michael. So they run back into the closet. Laurie runs into a bedroom. She hides in the closet. And another iconic scene is when Michael is banging on the closet doors and he breaks through to get to Laurie. She grabs a wire hanger and stabs him in the eye through his mask. So then, and that causes him to drop his knife. So she grabs a knife and stabs at him a few times. He falls to the floor. She lets her guard down yet again, assuming that he is dead, and consoles the kids and tells them to run down the street to a neighbor's house to call the police and an ambulance. So Laurie sits there catching her breath, and, you know, she's a bit, I wouldn't say she's comatose, but, you know, she's in a state of shock. So she's leaving out of the room, and Michael comes up behind her and starts choking her. And while this is happening, the kids run out of the house screaming for help, and coming from up the street is Dr. Loomis. So he comes up, he sees them, he puts two and two together, he goes into the house, he sees Laurie getting choked by Michael, he grabs his handgun and shoots Michael. He shoots Michael 6 times, causing him to fall off the balcony and out onto the yard. And Laurie is sitting on the hallway floor just crying while Loomis just stands there, and she's like, was that the boogeyman? And, you know, Loomis is like, yes, it was. Loomis looks out onto the balcony, well, outside from the balcony, and sees that Michael has disappeared. The movie ends with shots from all the locations that we have seen Michael at. And it ends on the Myers house, and the credits roll with the sound of his heavy breathing. Quite chilling, if you must say. Personally, it's a great movie. If you have not seen it, you should watch it. It's great. The acting, also good. It's a good movie. It is a very classic film, and it's just great overall. You know, it's one of those movies that is a classic for all generations, I feel like. And despite it being a horror movie, something about it, at least for me, is very comforting, you know. I don't really know what, but it's just it's great, you know? You don't really, I mean, all horror movies are scary, don't get me wrong. And they should be because, you know, it's a horror movie, it's a slasher movie, thriller, whatever you want to call it. And, you know, it's great. But something about Halloween is very comforting to me, maybe because I've seen it for so long, because I know it so well, because I love it so much. Perhaps that is why it is very comforting to me, which chances are it just might be the reason. But, you know, it's great. It's a good movie. It's really something that can keep you on edge if you have never seen it. But if you see it, you will know it like the back of your hand. And me being a longtime horror fan, especially of the Halloween franchise, I know it so well. I have studied it so well. I know, I know a lot about it. And like I said, I've been a Halloween fan since I was little. So, you know, I've studied this. I know it. It's something that is a part of me. It's something that I have grown to love, and something that I will love for the rest of my life. So I think that's all I have to say on that. It's a great movie. Once again, it's great, and you should watch it if you haven't. Stay tuned for Friday's episode, where we will talk about Halloween 2, the sequel made in 1981. So, to all you weirdos out there, to you nerds, this has been Nightmare Necessities. I am your host and number one weirdo, Alex. So to all you weirdos, to you nerds, to you horror lovers just like us, we here at Nightmare Necessities Podcast, we say goodbye. And we will see you in the next episode.